Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This week we're taking you to Lake Wales, Florida. Live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, you're watching The Trip. This is The Trip, episode 30, for the week of September 9th, 2015. The Trip is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation, whether it be theme parks on the West Coast, East Coast, or on the seas. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hey everybody, welcome to The Trip, a little show about something we all love called vacation. I'm Jenny Lynn.
And I'm Teresa, and back in the Nook is Dustin West.
I am here.
The producer.
Hey.
All-knowing producer.
Group all together again.
You know what? It is a new day, and it feels great.
It is. And
Episode 30. How did we get here?
I don't know.
What is that about? It's just tripping me out.
Yeah. There have been many moments along the way. I didn't think we would make it this far. And yet here we are.
Yeah.
Talking to you this week about Bok Tower Gardens in Lake Wales, Florida. We took a little bit of an outing.
We did. It was a good outing. It was fun. It was a hot day.
Yep, over in Polk County.
Polk County. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to have a little trip talk?
Well, I thought that before we got into all of that, we could maybe go over a few emails because we've gotten some emails from listeners. And
I haven't read these.
They have been patiently waiting for our response.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, the first one was sent by Come On Real. They didn't leave. Oh, yeah, there's no name. So anyway, this
No
email.
name.
Yep, they're from New York though. They said, "Great show on iDrive 360. I got to Disney World every year, and it was always nice to do something different, even non-Disney related." Mm-hmm. Whoever this is said, "You should do a show on the Florida Keys, Tampa, Naples, and any other cool spots in Florida. Florida has a lot more to offer other than Disney. I love Disney, but we always like to do something else. Thank you. I also love the Diz team. I learn a lot from you guys." So that's kind of cool.
She wants us to branch out.
She does, even more so than we already have. Keys, Tampa,
there.
Naples, things
That's
like that.
Yeah, we're all over the state there.
I thought that I would let you know that we actually have been talking about doing some of this.
Right.
It's all still kind of in the works, but we have thought that maybe a little bit of a weekend trip out a little bit further.
A little bit further, yeah.
Would be good for the show. We've got a couple ideas in place, maybe Miami, maybe St. Augustine, maybe Tampa. Yeah. So keep watching. Just wanted to let you guys know that
we'll get there. One day we'll pop up and we'll be...
This is on the radar.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one was from Tommy Woodruff.
Tommy. Hey, Tommy.
Yeah, he basically wanted to let us know that the Give Kids the World has a 5K gingerbread run. And he wanted us to let him know if we're interested in planning on signing up. Did you have a response to that?
When is that?
It is, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's in November because I think I've heard something about that, but I'm not sure.
If it's the gingerbread run, it's probably around the holiday season.
Oh, yes. Are we running towards gingerbread or are we?
They dangle it on a stick in front of you.
I can do that. I'm on board for that.
Yeah, so I guess this is something we can think about. I also wanted to say, though, I have to be a little bit careful because I had started jogging. Remember, we had talked about that.
Yeah. And
I injured my knee again. That usually happens when I run.
Would you go off a curb or what?
No, it's actually due to, my Lyme disease with my joints. So I have to be really careful. Okay. And right now I've been resting up. So, Tommy, we did get your email. And I guess we can talk about this, but we might have to play this one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
See how it... a little bit closer to it.
We're sorry we're reading your email about 8 weeks later.
Yeah. we're catching up. Okay. Kathy.
I love Kathy. She's great. She was on the show the other week.
From Pennsylvania.
A different Kathy.
It could be the same Kathy.
It could be the same Kathy.
What's her last name?
Buksinski. So,
Good.
Not Kathy Whirling.
Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, she wanted to refer us to Little Miss Sunshine because she says that's an ultimate road trip movie. Have you ever watched it?
Yes, have you?
I feel like I have. Is that where she goes for the beauty pageants?
Grandpa's in the trunk dead. Yes, and the horn won't stop. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen
I love that.
a little bit of stuff.
And he's like, and everybody's got to get the van rolling and get back in.
I think I'm due to see it again.
Oh my gosh.
I'm vaguely.
It's a little off
remembering
color,
it,
but I love it. you
Yeah.
know.
Abigail Breslin, Steve
Yeah.
Carell,
Yes, I have seen this.
Who's the guy?
Alan Arkin,
Who's the lead guy? The father. I love him.
Greg Kinnear.
Yes, I love him. Love him, love him, love him.
All right. So
Okay.
That's the
good
cast
good
of
movie
Little Miss Sunshine.
recommendation. Thank you for that. Okay, this one was from Jane Casper, and Dustin, you might be able to help me answer this.
Okay,
one.
I'm listening.
She says, I recently purchased a URL and started a blog with the name Disney in it. I know that once, she's saying to me personally, I know that you once started a blog with the word Disney in the URL as well, which I did. It's disneydrivenlife.com. She says, I have a disclaimer that it's not an official Disney blog, and I only use photos that I've taken, but what does she need to do about this? Does she need to be cautious about this, change the name? She's looking for answers.
Here's the deal with that. If she's just starting up, it's good. First of all, it's good that she has the disclaimer in her blog that says she's not officially attached to Disney in any kind of way. The main thing with Disney is they're probably not going to go after you if you're new and up and coming. And because you're new and up and coming, you're probably a relatively smaller website in terms of traffic. You haven't built that traffic yet. Maybe one day you will be a little bit bigger. If you were a bigger entity, if you were, for example, if you were the Diz, who's been around for quite some time and we're known as an unofficial source for Disney information, if we had Disney, the word Disney, in our URL, that would probably draw attention from Disney. But in the meantime, if you're keeping it small, it's probably nothing to worry about. If I was this person who is starting this blog, I'd probably go ahead and look at URLs that are similar but don't have the Disney name in them that you could redirect your traffic to. What was the name of the blog again?
She didn't leave the name. She just said it has Disney in it.
Then I would, switch Disney to, WDW
Disney.
or Disney or something like that. Just have a backup just in
Yeah.
case. But from what I understand, if you're new and up and coming and you don't have a
They're not gonna
lot
come
of
after
traffic, they're
you.
not going to come
Yeah.
after you. It's
They're
not going to be a big
beating down
deal.
your door.
No, it just maybe like you were saying, if you become a little bit of a bigger entity, might be where you run into trouble.
Exactly.
But it is always good to have forward thinking. So I don't think it's too early to start thinking of an alternative. It
Yeah.
makes things easier down the road.
And I would also just challenge this person into saying, can you come up with a title? Can you come up with a name for your website that doesn't involve Disney in a creative way to really market as your own? That doesn't rely on Disney. You get the point across that you are Disney based, but
Wow, that's challenging.
it is a challenge, but it's also going to end up making that person have a stamp on their quote unquote product.
Right.
Go
Yeah.
for it. See if you can come up with something interesting and
Yeah.
try that. And then you won't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I know. I have nothing to add to that. He
Right.
totally covered that. Thank you,
Wow.
Justin.
You're welcome.
He does have purpose. Okay.
Okay, our last email for today is from Crystal in Houston, Texas.
That
At some point, I will be able to speak today.
What's wrong? I didn't know where you're going with that one.
Okay. She says, "Hi, ladies. I've been following along with the trip since you started it.
Aw, thank you.
And
30 weeks ago.
Yeah, 30 weeks ago.
And she's loving it. And she says, I always have some sort of trip in the works, whether it be to Disney World or a weekend road trip to a new place. So your show is perfect for me. There's a topic that I haven't heard discussed yet,
Uh-oh.
and I thought it might be an interesting discussion point. It's an issue that she always has when she's on vacation. She says,
Yeah.
I love we got
What's
music
their
for it.
issue?
Maybe this will be our issue for this episode.
Okay.
My issue is that no matter how early into my vacation I am, I always tend to have this cloud over my head knowing that the end of vacation is coming.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, she says I'm already stressed about it even when I'm not there yet, and she wants to know if she's the only one who has this problem.
No, I have that problem.
Do
So,
you?
Teresha.
Teresha.
Oh, I like that.
Teresha, let me ask you a question. Do you have an issue?
I do have an issue.
Is it something different from this?
Yes.
Then we won't play the music at this moment.
No, I don't have an issue.
Wait, she just tricked you.
I'm issue free. Some weeks there's just my life's an issue.
So you can play the music. We have an issue. Okay, let's discuss Crystal's issue. It's not really our issue. Well, no, it is kind of our issue.
Yeah, there is. I know. And this doesn't just apply to travel for me. It also applies to holidays, like Christmas, the big buildup. And I know there's going to be a letdown. And when I'm on a trip, like the trip that I took this past summer, it sometime half the way through, or when you know it's going to come to an end, it's just like, what's the point?
What's the point of living anymore? I don't know.
But you still want to soldier on and enjoy yourself. But
I know a lot of people, especially when it comes to vacationing in Disney World and on the Diz boards and stuff like that, there's that halfway point blues. It's I am now closer to the end of my vacation than the beginning of my vacation.
Yeah. And it's not post-trip depression because you're still on your trip.
You're on your trip.
You're still enjoying it,
depression.
But it's in your mind that, okay.
I think the biggest piece of advice you can give anyone on this, whether they're capable of actually grasping this or doing this, is obviously live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
Enjoy yourself in the moment.
What I was going to say, because this is a huge struggle for me, especially on vacations where we've just got there and I'm already like, I only have a week,
right.
or there's
I got to go back to work.
Right,
it's just,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be done in 6 days. The problem with that is that you lose the time that you should be enjoying because you're already upset about when it's going to be over, and then you just miss out on everything.
I have, and it's this way with everything. You need to live in the moment.
Exactly.
Because if you're worried about, okay, Stella's 13, I've only got maybe another 5 good years with her at home, right?
Right.
I'm worrying about what it's going to be like when all my children are gone.
Right.
All my children.
Yes, all my children. I never won an Emmy. And what am I going to do, right? I got to live in the moment.
You have to.
And I am having a hard time with this.
I struggle with it
with
as
the
well.
trips, too.
I am a person who either thinks that, I think a lot about the past and I, worry about things from the past, or I get hung up on things from the past, or I'm worrying about what's coming up in the future.
But
it really absolutely comes down to you have to enjoy where you are.
Yeah.
do.
This is starting to get deep, man.
It's hard.
Here's the deal. You can do one of 3 things. You can have regrets about the past. You can worry about the future, which by the way, you can't control.
Right.
Or you can live in the present, which is right in front of you, and you have absolute control over the present.
Yeah.
Do that instead of those other 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard sometimes.
And that is good for your life in general.
But it's worth the effort. It's
I think so too. Because you know what? When you're in the moment, and by being in the moment, I mean I'm not looking at my phone and worrying about what at work is waiting for me when I get home from vacation.
Because that's the future that you cannot control.
I can't control that. Or I'm worrying about something that happened yesterday that ruined that day, or whatever. You got to live in the moment because you don't have tomorrow. You're not guaranteed tomorrow.
No.
Mm-hmm.
The future might not come. So why worry about it, right?
Exactly.
Not to be all bummer and Debbie Downer, but
hey, these are not only good things to improve your travel. These are good things to live by in general.
Definitely.
I love how we get so philosophical, and all of these travel topics are actually more broad and can be applied to life in general.
Life in general.
I'm telling you, you're going to be happier if you live in the moment.
But you still have to take care of business, but live in the moment.
Right.
Yes.
Take care of your stuff.
Absolutely.
Take care
And speaking of taking care of business, let's get on to some trip talk. And we're back. All right, so today we're talking about Bok Tower Gardens in Lake Wales, Florida.
Did you know about this when you were a child? You grew up in Florida.
I did grow up in Florida, and I had never heard anything about Bok Tower Gardens.
I hadn't either. Stanya, who works with me at the Welcome Center, she is the one that brought this to my attention. She had gone for a day trip and come back all excited because she's all about the nature and the plants and the, what plant does what, and she's all into that. And she told me about it. She says, you have got to do this for the trip. It will be an awesome day. So we did.
When we eventually got there, do you want to share the story?
Okay. Well, start off with, it wasn't just JL and I, because it was about plants and botany and nature. I invited Kelvin, my husband, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And then the night before we went, you had texted me, are we still on for Bok? I'm like, oh, is that tomorrow? And because we had kind of made alternate plans for that day. And I asked him, he says, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then, of course, Grace is like, where are you going? I'm going to go. I'm going. Okay, fine, you go too. Well, that means Stella's going too. So we all piled in the Malibu and drove over and picked up JL. and
Drove out to Polk County.
And
Polk
County. Polk salad. And which is just down I-4, and then get off at 27 and head out past No Name Town, and like you're heading towards Legoland.
Right.
And it was a drive. It was an okay drive. We started early. Bok Tower Gardens opens at 8. We picked you up about 7:45, I think. And so we got, it took us a little longer to get there than we had planned.
Yep.
We had a little issue with my GPS. Yeah, we had an issue.
We did. Your GPS went rogue.
She went rogue and kept taking us to the back entrance to this
Mountain
lovely
Lake community or something.
Yeah, it was some sort of gated community. And she wanted us to go through that gated community to get to Bok Towers on the other side.
We ended up at this gated community 3 flipping times.
And and Grace is like, let me program her. So she's in the back seat, and then, okay, now this is going to be right. So we circled around, and when we come around this curve, and at the end of the road, I saw this back entrance to I said,
Nope.
Girl, it's taking us right back.
It was like Winnie the Pooh, who constantly goes in the circle passing the same sandy pit.
Well, that's what we did.
We did it.
We passed this gate.
Over and over and over.
Repeatedly. And let's just go off, and let's just go the other way. We see the tower, which is on property.
Yes.
It's a high point. We could visually see it. So we just drove in that direction. We ended up at the front gate of the same community. and everybody's going, okay, is that it? Well, it doesn't say Bok Towers. Why would that be it, right? So we went in, and the guy said, you look like you're looking for Bok Tower Gardens. Yes, we are. He handed us a little map, why he had them there, which leads me to believe we weren't the only people.
No, I think that if they have pre-made directions to hand out to people who pull up to that gate, means that there is a frequent problem.
Yes.
Where people cannot find the entrance to Bok Tower Gardens.
So we got our map and we found it.
We did. We eventually made it there.
We finally, and it's once you get to the main gate and you pay your entrance fee, and there's 2 different choices. There's, I think, the $12 just the gardens for the day per person, or the $18, which is the gardens and the estate that is adjacent to the gardens. We wanted to see it all.
Yep.
So we got the $18 ticket. And then the woman wasn't excited. The girl wasn't excited. Well, if that's what you want to do, right?
Okay.
If you want to do that. It was like an old woman in a little girl's body.
And she just drew out the last word of every sentence she said.
Because I said,
you're going to head down this road, okay?
It was awesome.
It was great. We got a lot of good jokes
So we drove, it was a couple miles on property past orange groves and different things before we got to the welcome area. And So it's a big piece of property.
It is. And there's a few different components to it. We'll talk about that in a minute. I thought that we should possibly talk about the history of it.
Possibly. Okay.
Possibly. The history. Because this, I never realized it, even growing up in Florida, but apparently Bok, B-O-K, Tower Gardens, as opposed to Buck, B-U-C-K. Bok Tower Gardens was a big deal, and especially in its time when it was.
Who knew?
I didn't. Apparently, I didn't. But now
Had
I
you
do.
ever heard about it, Dustin?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay,
It's
well,
like the little
here's-
hidden gem in Polk County.
Yeah. So here's the story. There's this guy, Edward Bok, and his family used to vacation. They had a winter residence in the area, Lake Wales. And so he grew up kind of going there and was in love with the area. So when he got older, he wanted to, let's see, the website says it this way. Awed by the tranquility of the area, he wanted to create a place that would touch the soul with its beauty and quiet, and choose it as the perfect setting for a bird sanctuary. So guess what? That's what he did. And he purchased land.
Long story short.
He purchased land and made this very lush, beautiful landscape that has, lots of wildlife and
It's all natural. It's all native plants, trees, shrubberies, whatever, to the area.
Yep, and then he built this very tall tower. It's called the Singing Tower, and that houses a 60 bell. And we have a controversy over how to say this word.
We do.
The British would say carillon, and the Americans would say carillon.
It's a carillon.
Basically, it's an organ that plays really big bells in a tower.
Has giant bells, 60 bells, and they're all attached to this organ-like instrument that someone would sit there and they play songs.
So basically, it's as if you had a piano key, a row of piano keys, and every time you push a button, it would strike a bell.
It would
Yes.
strike a bell. The bells do not move. It's the little clanger, clapper thing in
the
the
hammer.
middle
Dinger in the
that's
in the inside.
moving
The
to
hammer.
hit a
Yep.
hammer. Okay.
And rather than pushing it with fingers, because you've got to move big things, you're kind of like smashing the keys with your hands.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
It's
yeah.
very interesting to watch.
But twice a day, it
They
plays.
have concerts.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a second. But anyway, back to the history. So this opened up back in 1929, February 1st, 1929, and tons of people came, including the president, Calvin Coolidge.
He was
Calvin
here for
Coolidge.
Calvin
Yeah.
Coolidge, one of my favorites. I love Calvin Coolidge. It was a good time.
Followed by Herbert
and he
Hoover.
loved
Yeah.
Bok Tower Gardens.
Yep.
So, again, this was we did not know until recently that this was a thing, but this is a thing. So we went and checked it out. Now, we already mentioned that it has the landscaped gardens, the Singing Tower with
The Landscape Gardens by Frederick Law Olmsted Jr., which I believe also did quite a few some of the Washington Gardens, I think the White House.
Yes.
And I think he might have done Biltmore Estates. I'm not sure. But anyway, he did a lot of formal gardens, and he's a very famous.
He was
Landscape
handpicked by
architect.
Edward Bok to come and design the landscape and the architecture that's there, and so on and so forth. So there's that, and then there's the other component to it, which was added later on, and that's the Mediterranean-styled mansion, Pinewood Estates. Right. So let's talk about the gardens.
Okay.
Give me your take on it.
All right, so we get there. They've got the Welcome Center. Welcome, whatever. And there was a small film which gives you all this background, which I think is important to get.
Yeah,
if
there
you
was
wanna get the whole.
I agree with that. It's a 10-minute film. It's on constant loop, so you can walk in at any point in the
And just
in the
watch it till
film.
you get back to where you saw it before.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that'll give you a little bit more of the story. And they've got some, a little bit of video footage and photographs
Of why
from
this is here, why this,
why
and
it's there,
it-
what its significance
Right.
is.
And they have a little artifact room where they've got some different backstory on the bells and how they got here. And, they came from Europe
Right.
by boat and then by train. And it was just interesting and how the
Yeah,
tower was built and all
the
that.
exhibit
It's very
hall.
interesting.
They've got that diorama where it shows you what is in each level of the singing
Mm-hmm.
tower. And they had his desk, Edward Bok's desk, right? His whole
Mm-hmm. Family
office.
photos, family portraits. Is that his mother or his grandmother with the
That was
Princess
his-
Leia buns?
That was his grandmother. And
Seriously.
she did. She had Princess Leia buns.
Help me,
Did you
you're
know
on
Princess
my
Leia did
only
not
hope.
originate that look?
Help me, Edward. Plant the flowers.
Yes. So you get that's at the visitor center. There's
There's
that's
a lot
a
of
good way to
information.
start it.
Also, at the
They give you
visitor
the
center,
map.
there's a cafe that you can have light breakfast,
The
light
Blue Palmetto
lunch,
Cafe.
ice cream, snacks. There's a gift shop, all the normal little things. A little plant area where you can buy plants and things afterwards. We saved all that for the end because we wanted to get and walk the gardens before it got too hot. Mm-hmm. And I do recommend that if it is a warm day, do it
And
early.
it was a warm
Yes,
day.
it was a very warm day. So we started out on our, and there's a lot going on there. A lot of things are changing. So part of it was not available to us. They had blocked off part of it
Yes.
for future. They're expanding.
They have new exhibits coming in 2016, which I think will be worthwhile enough for us to make
Oh,
another
definitely.
trip
I think so.
back.
Yeah.
They're going to be adding a kids area,
An outdoor kitchen.
an outdoor kitchen where you can grill and picnic,
Yeah.
which sounds like it'll be really fun.
So I think that'll be fun,
More
yeah.
exhibits where you can learn a little bit more about the
plants in the
plants,
area and all
yeah,
that.
exactly.
So it was a nice. We started off. It was just like a wood chip trail.
mulch.
Mulch, and we first thought was, well, this isn't very friendly to those, you know.
It wasn't. Yeah, you wouldn't think of it being as very handicap accessible. You know, somebody who needs to go in a wheelchair just wouldn't be fun pushing a wheelchair or a stroller for that matter over that mulch.
Right.
But
I think that's not all the paths are mulch.
it is temporary. We found that out because we came across where the pathed areas that were, but they had been cut off due to the construction going on.
So there were accessible paths with
Mm-hmm.
which were paved.
Yep.
It is I think I read an 8% incline because it is on a hill.
Yep. We felt
So
it.
you could feel it a little bit going
yeah.
up just slightly,
Well, it works its way up to the pinnacle, which is 298 feet above sea level.
which is high for
Iron
Florida.
Mountain.
It's
right.
beautiful,
And
yeah.
you get really pretty views up there.
and
That
a
was
nice
one
breeze.
of the things.
Nice breeze. You would have loved it, Dustin.
Nice.
Yeah.
You would have loved it. And the old, and of course, Kelvin's walking along, naming the plants as we go along.
He was. We were a little bit more preoccupied by the fact that we kept getting lost.
Okay, they gave us a map, but the signage was, I don't
Not-
want to say lacking.
It was lacking. But that's partly due to the construction, I think, that's
Yeah.
going on.
Well,
but
not so much the signage on where we were, but the signage on the map. It was just a map with pictures. I mean, there was no, this is where you are or anything to tell
Right.
you.
right.
You just had to, oh, look, the path widens here. This must be where we are on the map.
Yeah.
And then you could tell.
Yeah. So a lot of times we just wandered until we stumbled upon what we were looking for, which was enjoyable in some ways. But then when it got to be really hot, it was not as enjoyable.
Just get me out of the jungle. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to get off the hill.
Yeah.
But it was fun. We had, they've got ponds. Some of the plants are identified and some aren't. If you got your man with you to tell you what, which I did. And sometimes it was like, oh, I know that one. And, I impressed myself. After 30 years of hearing what that is, I finally could identify a plant. That's a fern. So that was fun. The tower itself was absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
The singing tower was beautiful.
It looks like something out of Lord of the Rings.
It was. I was upset.
I just kept waiting for Gandalf to appear.
There was a little moat. I would call it a moat all the way around it. It had a gate where you could enter, but it was closed to us, so we could not.
I found out about that
Oh, okay. Tell me.
because Teresa was a little upset because she wanted to go into the
I
tower.
wanted to go the big gold door. What was a biblical?
So they have the front of the tower has a huge gold door and little squares, almost like you would picture a quilt,
Right.
that tell the story of creation.
It was beautiful, but you couldn't get near it.
And the entire tower going up was all representative of nature and creation. You know, there's different animals carved
Had
in
a
at different
beautiful
places.
sundial on one side. It was beautiful.
Yeah, Adam and Eve are depicted on one area
I
of it.
wonder if
and-
that's a recreation of the cathedral door that's in Florence. I can't remember what it's called.
I know what door you're thinking
It's
of.
made
'cause I
out of
remember
solid
that.
gold,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's very famous, and it depicts scenes in a square pattern like that. I wonder if it's a recreation.
I don't know,
Maybe
but I know what
so.
you're talking about. I remember seeing that. In
It was
France.
gorgeous. And in the ponds out front, there was a bunch of, they're
Koi.
koi fish.
Huge, the biggest koi you've ever seen, and you have the ability to feed them. There's a little machine there where you can get 25 cents worth of koi food, and they're ready. Boy, they are up out of that. And they're huge. We're talking.
They're really large.
like big fish, Albert Finney size koi swimming around in the swamp, weren't they?
Yep,
they were
yep.
huge.
Yep. You know what else was huge? Well, we're going to have to come back to the tower in a minute. But while we're talking about huge, the lily pads.
Okay, JL wanted to float away on one of them.
I
They were
could have laid
huge.
down. I could have laid down in one of these things.
They were huge, but absolutely beautiful. The flowers coming. Yeah, it was. You have to see this. I mean, our
Yes.
pictures aren't going to do us justice.
And I would actually recommend, if anyone makes a trip out there, that you go sometime during the spring when everything is actually in bloom, unless you have really bad allergies. that
Also,
would
did
be
you
bad.
notice up at the visitor center, they had a table outside that had bud vases full of everything that is blooming today, and they change it every day. And there was probably, did you see that?
I
There was
missed
probably
that.
30 bud vases with different, and it identified what they were.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them day after day would be the same, but I looked on their website and it gave me the last couple months worth of that pictures of that table, and it did change from spring to summer to fall. So
That's
it's kind of
awesome.
interesting. It gives you an idea of what you're looking for and what's there.
Yeah, well, and I just think, there definitely were things blooming while we were there,
Oh, yeah.
but a lot of it also was green and already
Just
you know,
natural.
right, exactly. I would think if you go back in the spring when everything's coming out, that would
be a different-
pretty
it would be different,
spectacular. I mean,
yeah.
it was beautiful anyway, just the lushness of it. But
And the animals,
Lush, lush,
lusciousness.
lush.
And the animals that were there, which we didn't come across many. I saw a couple little chipmunky
thankfully,
things.
I just was
She
not.
was terrified to see a bobcat.
I
or
didn't
something.
want. Well, I mean, the grasshopper was enough. Okay, there was
The
this
giant.
There was this grasshopper that was so large, and it was all colors of
Do
the
you not
rainbow.
have those in your yard?
I hope I don't. I don't
We do.
know. I
We
don't
have-
venture in my yard.
We're battling them at the moment because they're destructive. They're huge.
They
They're
looked
absolutely huge. They're
destructive.
very destructive,
I
and they're loud.
thought it might bite me or something. It was huge.
No,
it was
they're
monstrous.
huge. And spiders everywhere.
There were really
But this
big
was nature.
spiders.
It was natural. I don't think they're not trying to get rid of these pests because it's part of the natural landscape.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
I found that very interesting.
I'm just
And
glad
at
we
one
didn't run into
point,
any more than we
when
did.
you and Kelvin and Grace went off to get pictures, and Stella and I were just resting on this little bench. It was a section where every once in a while someone would walk by, but for the majority of the time it was just her and I sitting there in nature. And when we didn't talk and we got quiet, there was something large enough to make a good amount of noise in the bushes across the path from us. And we were just okay, something's going to come plowing through onto the path at any moment. But just when you think it happened, someone would walk by and it would get all quiet.
Well, I
So-
mean, they said that there's, turtles and bobcats and everything else out there. I mean, we walked along the one path and some guy had found a snake, and they on the website they talk about indigo snakes being, in the area. I'm glad we didn't find that.
I think it's just a wonderful place to see Florida in its, even though it's a planned garden, it's still
It
natural.
features a lot of the native.
It's native, and I think that's what I liked about it. I don't, on my day-to-day living in Florida, I don't see Florida as a pretty place because a lot of it's just flat, scrubby. But this gave me a new appreciation for what truly, I mean, the giant oak trees and the moss. And
The Spanish moss was beautiful.
That screamed Old South to me. And I could sit up on top of that hill forever just looking at that and just sitting there and,
Let's talk about that old hill, or that that top of that hill, because that is where the Singing Tower is. We'll come back to that now. And you had wanted to go inside because we had seen people go inside, and yet when we went to it, the big gates were closed. With
I
big
saw people
locks.
from a distance when we kept climbing. They were up there at that door. taking pictures of each. But when we got there, the gates were closed, no entry.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I found out what the secret is.
What's the secret?
You have to be at the sustainer level membership of the Bok Tower Gardens in order to be admitted in. So, do you want to explain membership at Bok Tower
Well,
Gardens?
you can get a yearly membership, which grants you access back into the park. And I don't remember, it was $48. It wasn't a huge amount. I think 2 or 3 trips. If you're going to go 2 or 3 times a year, it would behoove you to get a membership.
Right. And also gets you discounts at the cafe and in the gift shop.
And it helps because it's a nonprofit. You know,
Exactly.
it helps you.
And they
It
do
helps
have
them.
special events throughout the year at times. So it is something that
So what
I
were
think-
these people? These special people?
Yes,
were they members?
they were apparently at the sustainer level of membership because that gets you an invitation for 2 to one of the 4 annual Founders Room tours. That includes viewing of the Founders Room, the KO Research Center, the storage and mechanical equipment level, the maintenance workshop, the Anton Breeze Carillion Library, and another word I can't say, office and studio, and then the place where the instrument actually is, as well as the parapet at the very, very top. So the Founders Room has this, I looked at the pictures, this
Yeah.
beautiful fireplace, antique furniture.
That's inside this
Yes,
tower.
but then there's 211 steps on a staircase as you go up. The research center has all the correspondence, papers, plans, photographs, and the historic objects of the
Okay.
garden. And then there's the storage and mechanical equipment level. But what that used to be is where they had tanks to irrigate the gardens, where water would flow from the top of the tower
Yeah.
to irrigate everything. They don't do it that way anymore.
okay.
But
So to get through that wrought iron, that gate, that heavy gate, you have to have membership to go up in
then
there.
they'll show you the Carillion and the library that they have with all of the music in it. They also have a recording studio in there for the people that play the instrument, so that they can record
Pick what they're doing.
They can
Interesting,
record
interesting.
the playing of it.
Well, before we go any further, do you think we should show our video of the gardens?
Yeah, let's go
All
ahead
right,
and
let's
do
go
that.
and do that.
Okay, we're now on Scenic Highway.
Which
Oh, look, it's the Singing Tower.
obvious why it's named that.
Oh my gosh.
and obviously a highway.
Why don't So we found it. Now we're heading to I see the Singing Tower.
Look, this is of no use. We're shutting her off. She's steering us
Useless.
in the wrong direction.
Are we going this way? Is this where she took? Maybe we're supposed to turn right there.
I don't care what your phone says. It's not right. Throw a few passes.
Oh, I think it's a prison. No, it
it's
might be a high school.
It's a school.
Oh,
Buses.
hang on.
Yep, school.
We're 10 minutes away, it says.
Okay, how do I get there?
Starting route to Bok Tower Gardens. Head west on North City Limit Road.
Where's the tower?
Scenic Highway.
Over there?
Yeah.
That's where the dirt road leads us.
But it's telling us to go down this road.
We are having trouble.
It's not a dirt road. Florida Heritage. We found it.
We made it!
Where do we go? Right to the middle?
Not where the code is. Process of elimination. We have made it, and it's still a mile away. We still have to drive another mile to get there, even though we paid for admission already.
Through the orange groves.
We are walking up a mulchy incline,
8% incline.
8% incline. It's been an adventure so far. We've been here 2 hours and haven't.
We just
And then we finally left the welcome center.
We had an early lunch.
We did have a nice
fortify
lunch.
ourselves for this walk.
And now we're venturing into nature, and I'm kind of hoping we don't see any.
Ew. What are the little fish?
Minnows.
Look at them both leaned in at the same time. From what?
Look at him.
Ooh, why is he over here? Oh, he's huge. It's like big fish. Must be 12, huh?
Look at another one. Not quite as big.
Look at the video.
It's huge. Wait, here's some sort of sacrificial circle here. What is this?
What is this?
What is it?
It's a tribute to Edward William Bok from the neighbors in Mountain Lake Park. That's where we kept
that's where
going.
That's where we got.
They've been here.
Oh, wait, are we supposed to walk on this?
It's sacred hollow ground. Do you think we need to take our shoes off?
I'm not taking my shoes off.
Oh, it's echoing.
Can it sit here?
I think so.
Ooh, the stone's cold. So what's it mean? Does the water flow from there to this little sacrificial pool in the middle?
The well has dried up, apparently. There is no water flowing.
Pretty weird.
We keep going in circles, like Winnie the Pooh, who keeps running past the same sand pit.
Yeah, over and over and over.
It's been the theme of the day. It started before we even got here.
We have no sense of. Wait, maybe Surrey can tell us how to get.
Oh, Siri.
Surrey. No, she's Surrey in my book.
Suri is Katie and Tom Cruise's child.
Well, she also is my GPS. We just trekked through these woods to get to this little mansion. Pan over there. Rourke and Tattoo could have brought us right up here, like Fantasy Island. These people just got here. That was real dramatic.
There's a stinking shuttle and we missed it. This ain't right, people.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to go back. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a nature girl. I've said it 1,000 times. I'm an indoor girl, but I like the way this was laid out. I like the beauty of it. It makes you very peaceful and very reflective, and I think that was the plan.
That was the plan. He did what he had set out to do. Now, that was the original part of it. The second part of it that came into play was the Pinewood Estates.
Pinewood Estate. Mm-hmm.
Or estate, yes.
Estate,
Singular,
yeah.
not plural. And what that is that was actually a mansion that was originally a part of the is the Mountain Lake community that we kept going back to.
Yes, it was a part of that. And this man had come, what was his name? It was Bok, but not Bok.
Buck, B-U-C-K, not Bok, B-O-K, as we were instructed many times during the tour.
Not to be confused with Mr. Bok. This is Mr. Buck. And he built this Mediterranean-style mansion for his winter use, 2 months a year.
His summer home.
2 months out of the year, January and February, his family would come and stay in this 20-room mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And yeah, right.
That's huge.
For two months out of the year. But we toured it, and
yes.
You walk up. It's beautiful. It is right adjacent. It's just you just walk off a side path, and you come upon this lovely terracotta, Mediterranean-looking, sprawling little mansion. You ring the doorbell, and they open the door, and you go in, and they give you a little rundown of what's going on and the information about it, and then you kind of just walk through the house on your own, but slightly guided. There were guides in every
They
area.
had people placed at certain points in the house so that as you were guiding yourself along the way, when you did want to stop and talk about something, there was someone there that could provide you with more information.
They were there. And we have a little video about that too, I think, don't we? About the inside of the... Didn't we shoot some video in there too? A little bit? Some pictures?
We have some pictures and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, not too much video,
Okay,
but
well, we'll put that up too. I thought we had a little bit of video there too. But, and this was built in, 1932? Early 30s. And it was state of the art at the time, Dustin. I mean, the light switches were state of the art. The bathrooms, the kitchen, it was all. And if you can imagine early 30s decor, the bathrooms are what got me. I want
a bathroom
I want
like
one of those
that.
bathrooms. And they're still... I mean, the family had sold it and had gone through several different families, I think. And then when Bok Tower Gardens bought it, I think in the 70s, and it was... I had a lot of the original furniture in it. I mean, it was amazing. That one plum or mulberry bathroom.
yes.
All the fixtures were this deep, beautiful mulberry. It was beautiful.
Teresa pulls me aside and she's like, "That's my bathroom.
This is my bathroom.
You can
right
have
here."
the other one."
Because we came across the yellow one first.
Yes.
It
was very cheerful.
It was beautiful. And then we come around the corner into Mr. Buck, B-U-C-K, his daughter's bedroom. And Stella saw it first. She says, "You got to come see this bathroom." I'm like, "Okay, it's me." And it had a walk-in closet. I mean...
Yep.
And it was beautiful. And the house originally didn't have air conditioning, obviously, in the 1930s.
Right.
They installed that later. But there was a lot of cross ventilation, a lot of vents. All the no two doors are alike.
Yeah, that's right. No two doors were the same except for, I think, one pair.
There was one. And there was a lot of optical illusions in there with the doors. They were like huge wooden doors, carved. And then you open them, and there was a little doorway behind it.
Right, so you would think it was a big doorway to walk through, but then when you opened it,
It was just like a normal-sized little doorway.
Yeah.
They did this to balance out the big windows on the opposite side. I mean, there was so much thought going into this architecture and this design. They don't do that anymore. I want this house.
I know, it's really great. Well, I have good news for you.
What?
You can cater an event there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Let's do my 55th birthday there. I mean, the fact that you can look out one window and see an English garden, and then turn on this way in the family room and look out and see a different type of garden.
I think it was an Italian
garden. I mean, there were little fountains, little tiny windows on the stairway. Nothing big. Those little skinny windows.
I know, it was great.
That was like... The only thing I could imagine was you'd shove your gun through there if you had a right?
Shoot.
It was like a little turret.
Shoot the little boy who came to visit your daughter in her mulberry bathroom.
I mean, I don't know. It was, and not because it was air conditioned, but the house made the trip for me.
I agree. That was my favorite part of it.
Because it incorporated the gardens, and it was still all natural, but I don't know. I'm a sucker for old architecture and old,
What I really liked about this whole day trip that we had is it really was at your own pace. We could roam the gardens as we felt. We could be at the visitor center as long as we felt.
Mm-hmm.
There was no rush to get through the Pinewood Estates. We could have been in there for 2 hours and they wouldn't have minded.
Right.
It was all how we wanted to do it. And yet at every turn, it was still enough people, not just in the house, but in the welcome center as well, to explain what was going on and give you the little tidbits of significance that you might not be able to pick up, on your own.
And they were all friendly, and it was not an expensive day trip. I mean, like I said, it was $18 a person to get in. Children were younger, but we didn't have any children younger than 12 with us.
And then we even ate at the cafe.
We had a good lunch.
And it was a great lunch.
It was a great lunch. I had like a chef salad with chicken. It was pretty. Mm-hmm. It was edible. It was good. You had like a wrap, right?
I had a vegetarian wrap, and it was delicious. It was all like cucumbers and sprouts and hummus and tomatoes.
It was
and
good.
I was full.
They had a lot
were
of
heavy.
options.
They were bigger.
Big portions. They were. Kelvin and Grace went with the basic chicken and fries. Stella had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it was all good. It was fresh. We went back later and had the ice cream. I had the toasted coconut ice cream, which was awesome.
I had the chocolate cake.
Yeah, chocolate cake was good too. And it was good, and it wasn't expensive. I think lunch for the 5 of us. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there was 5 of us. Maybe $40, 35, 40.
Oh, okay.
It was very doable. Mm-hmm. They had a serve yourself drink machine. The gift shop was fun. A lot of things in there. I found some earrings. Kelvin bought some plants. Grace bought a horribly overpriced magnifying glass because it looked like something from Nancy Drew. I need this.
They had little miniature Bok towers, or singing towers that you could get.
Lots of floral things. Lots of floral stationery and
Very garden oriented.
kitcheny. Yeah, it's all garden oriented.
Cookbooks about what you could cook from
Right.
stuff in your garden, how to attend.
But it was a
your
nice
garden.
way to, and lots of little cheap tchotchke stuff for kids, because I think might be a field trip location for schools in the
I would
area.
think so, as it should be.
Yeah. Now, okay, so we had a good time, and that was the end of that. But also in the area, we saw a sign for
Spook Hill.
Spook Hill. Ever been there, Dustin?
I have not. No, I don't know
Okay.
what you're talking about.
So Stella, of course, Grace is like, we're going to Spook Hill. We got to go to Spook Hill. And even when I got back, Stanley said to me, did you do Spook Hill? I said, yeah, it was kind of, okay, whatever. So we follow the signs for Spook Hill. And you didn't write down what this was, did you?
I didn't.
I have to do it from memory. Okay. So we're driving along, and we pass Spook Hill Elementary School. And we get to the sign that says Spook Hill this way. We pull up to this sign. I'm using my hands all over the place. We pull up to this sign, and it says, pull your car up to the white line. And there's a white line in the middle of the road. And it's a hill, coming up a hill.
Okay.
And there's a sign. And what was the story?
Okay, I feel like we should just show the video for this.
Okay, well, we'll show the video. But first I have to... Okay, it was between
an Indian chief and a gator.
and a gator had a fight.
They did not get along. The battle went down.
Battle went down, and everybody died. I don't know. Did everybody die? I don't even remember.
There was a swampy depression.
But there's a depression where the fight happened. Okay, so now because of this, on this section of this road, Spook Hill, when you park your car there and you put it in neutral, you're
supposed to look like you're going up the hill.
but you're actually
But
going
you're
down
actually
the hill
going down the hill. And
in your vehicle.
It's spooky because, well, obviously
It's an optical illusion of some kind.
And then they make it all dramatic on the sign by saying, is it the gator pulling you back into the swamp, or is it the Indian chief doing something? I don't really
Nothing
remember.
else. So I pull the car up, I pull the Malibu up onto this white line, and I put it in neutral. Okay, so here's this kid going by his bicycle looking at us like, okay, here comes another boob tourist checking out this white line. And I waited for him to go by before I put it. So I put the car in neutral. We're all sitting there. And, of course, I'm facing up the hill. The car rolls back. And I'm like...
No, we look like we're going backwards.
And Kelvin kept saying, you need to get out of the car to see it. He saw it on TV. And he said, you have to get out of the car. And it looks like you're going uphill, but you're actually going down. Or something.
What?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like it would be worse if you were outside of the car. Then it would be completely obvious that you're going downhill because you can see that the car is rolling down the hill.
So Grace sent me a video. After we got home, she found it on YouTube, a video of Spook Hill. And it was these girls, or I don't know if it was girls, and they parked their car on the white line, and it went. And the people in the car couldn't agree. Oh, no, my God, we're rolling uphill. No, we're rolling downhill. I mean, it was just...
It's like, is the dress blue and black or tan and white?
Tan and white. So, yeah, it was a nice little diversion.
And it was an utter failure.
But then the video had the cars going, they were at the top of the hill going down.
Do you have any
bottom.
clue what the science is behind that? Why it's supposed to be?
Someone said, I read, where you can't see it, but there's an indention. or there's like a little scoop in the road
Where the white line
where
is.
the white line is. So it looks like, I think it'd only be working if you were going down. If your car was coming downhill and you hit the white line and you parked it, the indention would roll you back a little bit, like you were going up the hill.
Okay. So
And
it
then-
has nothing to do with vengeful gators.
I don't think the gator has anything to do with
You've
this.
ruined
I was
magic.
hoping. Yeah, I know.
You know what? We should use this as a way to. Your social challenge is to like us on Facebook, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the video footage from Spook Hill, which really has nothing to do with Bok Tower Gardens. I will make our adventure at Spook Hill, and I will put it up on Facebook for you all to see.
It's just us arguing in the car. It was so much fun.
Making a big scene out of
but
nothing.
if you go to Bok Tower Garden, you have to do Spook Hill because it's right there.
Yeah. And you'll get a good laugh about the drama over nothing.
Let us know.
So anyway, I think that we kind of covered it, though.
I think so.
That's
I
everything
think
about
that's
it. We should definitely go again. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's a good day trip type of
They
thing
do
to do.
decorate a lot at Christmas. And
Yes.
I'm thinking I'd like to try it at Christmas too.
I'm thinking Christmas and spring are the times to
Yeah.
really hit this particular
Right.
attraction. It's worthwhile.
Summer's a little hot, so
Still, I mean, we still had a good time, but it
bring
was,
the bug
it was hot.
repellent and the sunscreen.
Yep.
So,
Fight
all right.
off the grasshoppers. Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for this week's show. We'll be back again next week with another episode for you guys. So stay tuned for all the craziness and zaniness from Teresa and I.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And with that, we're going to say
Trip
out.
Now we're venturing into nature, and I'm kind of hoping we don't see any. At least not the kind that bites.
There's bobcats here.
Don't say it.
And rabbits and turtles.
Gopher
and gophers.
tortoises. Gopher tortoises. I would be okay with meeting one of those. But all the other things that have teeth,
I want a bobcat to jump out in front of
no,
us.
no, that would be bad.
Take someone down. We can film it.
I'm gonna throw you out in front
Look
first.
at the pretty trees.